Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Property Pros Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Peter Laframboy. I am a public insurance adjuster. On today's episode, we have another great guest. His name is Joe Spano. Joe Spano is a commercial property manager, and the company that he represents today is Gator Investments. Joe, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story. Can you give everybody a little background about yourself and how you end up here with Gator after all these years?
Yeah, of course. My name is Joe. I'm 26. I live in South Florida. Started in the real estate business when I was 19. Things weren't as clear to me back then. I didn't understand sales didn't happen a day. So then I realized I needed a salary, things like that. So I kind of worked my way up from working as a leasing consultant. Started in residential property management, which was nice with foreign investors. Great business there, but people sell their homes. And then eventually I was reached out by Gator Investments for a position in West Palm Beach, take care of a couple properties in Delray Beach, Lake Worth, and Green Acres. And ever since then, it's been a dream and enjoyable, and can't complain.
So with the property management stuff that you're doing, are we talking about housing or shopping centers or office?
So Gator Investment does do residential, shopping centers, business centers, and stuff like that. My main focus right now is all commercial, so I mostly have, like you said, plazas and business developments right now. A couple places, Walmart's, UFit, Planet Fitnesses, a few fast food chains, and stuff like that.
It's interesting. So is there any one part of the job that you think seems to take more of your time than others, out of the day-to-day tasks that you normally have to keep up with?
Yeah, I would say is, it's going to sound pretty small and petty, but backflows and keeping up with the city in violations is the best way to put it. Seems like a simple thing, getting a company out there to recertify things, keeping it in order. Tenants supposed to be responsible. They're saying going to get it done. But in the end, if they don't get it done, it goes to the business, the entity that owns the plaza itself. So I'd say that's my main struggle lately that's been taking up a lot of my time, keeping everything in order.
Like the units are backflowing? Oh, backflow devices and making sure that they're current. I gotcha. I was going to say, I know somebody you could call if it actually happened and you needed help.
Awesome.
Oh, that's interesting. So what part of, commercial real estate coming in at such a young age probably seemed, a little daunting maybe at first. What do you think it was about that sort of appealed to you and said, hey, this is where I want to spend a lot of time and this is what I want to learn and hone in on my skills?
Best way to put it is, I guess, starting out, I never expected to be in commercial real estate at all, or property management, in fact. But, once starting the job, I would say being able to be remote and kind of work for myself, hire my own vendors, have my own maintenance team, that's the enjoyable part. You're not being micromanaged by anyone. It's kind of your job to keep everything in order. Of course, you do mess up. People above you are going to come down on you and stuff like that. But I would say the freedom of it all, man. It's, you work your own schedule, you get your things done at your own time, and it's up to you to keep everything in order. You're taking care of hundreds of thousands of square feet, dealing with people you never thought you would meet, meeting new owners, franchise owners, and stuff like that. It's just a nice experience to see or meet new people. I guess is the main thing of it all.
I can imagine. So what's it been like? I know when I talk to lots of property management people, it seems like a lot of people we talk to are on the housing side, but since your sector is mostly plazas and commercial, are your occupancy rates staying similar as they were, say, a few years ago? And have you seen a rapid rise in price per square foot? Tell me a little bit about what's changed in the last, since COVID or right before COVID. Give me a little description of your neck of the woods and what that might be like.
So I've been with Gator Investments for about a year and a half. I kind of joined right after the COVID epidemic. From what I've noticed at my time here compared to like residential, a lot of these tenants are doing 5-year net leases and stuff like that. So I really haven't seen much of a turnover. And, overall on renewal basis, when reaching out to clients and stuff like that, usually no issue. Personally, I don't deal with much of the pricing of, the leasing stuff. We do have a leasing department for the company itself. But other than that, occupancy, very low. If we do have a vacancy, usually those spots are rented out in 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes even less, and everything moves quickly. One thing I have noticed with a lot of other commercial real estate companies prior to COVID, plenty of companies would pay for build-outs. During COVID and after COVID, I know one thing a lot of commercial companies did to kind of save face, even though prices were a little lower at that time for rental because not many people had the money at that time. They had tenants do their own build-out, but at that same time, price per square feet would drastically decrease. So I think that's what helped out with keeping everything leased out, even during those hard times.
That's interesting. I know that that's a unique part. When somebody wants a salon or they want a restaurant, they have to convert it to fit their needs, right?
Yeah, because depending on that, let's say you rent out a former salon. You're going to get a restaurant owner that wants to come in. They're going to have to get a gas line, maybe propane tanks in the back. They're going to have to do a whole build out with that stuff, much more with permitting, dealing with city officials and stuff like that, which takes months. And I've realized that's the main issue a lot of people have when they rent out places. They don't realize sometimes it takes 6, 8, 10, 12 months to get everything approved, get a full CO to open up. And people don't realize, hey, I might not make money for a couple months.
And of your client base, the ones where you're seeing some moderate turn, are we talking about first-time business owners that are just now saying, hey, let's get a brick and mortar, or are we seeing people that have already been successful in their field and say, we're expanding, we want to take one location over here, get a second location? Tell me what the client base might be like.
Honestly, it's a little bit of everything. I've in one space I've had let's say like a $5 mart. The next couple months later, let's say they close down, I have a salon. A couple months later, I have a battery store. It's a little bit of everything right now. The current clients that are doing well, usually they don't expand from what I've seen for a while until they get a good ground 5, 6, 7 years later. Good business building up where they know, hey, if I have to take 12 months to build this out, we'll be sustainable. We'll be able to hold on, keep everything afloat.
That's a lot of commitment. It's scary to talk about those numbers. If you were a new person, right?
I would be afraid. I've seen how it is, and I've realized, it may seem easy in the beginning to get in, deposit, and things like that, but just getting everything up and running, when you break it down, let's say you're paying $3,000, $4,000 a month, you have consignment, let's say on items you're selling, just to break even, you're going to have to roughly make a couple $100s a day in sales, and usually beginning of businesses, things are slow, depending where you are, depending on how the plaza is doing itself, and depending on what you're doing. You could be a salon, but it could be 2 other barbers in your plaza. So, it's competition in the end, but luckily, for some of those leases, some tenants do have, looking for the word, can't think of it, but basically exclusivity for certain sales or certain kind of products, which does help out.
Yeah, I imagine that would be tough if you got too many, although sometimes restaurants, if you're in a really good part of town, can help each other. If one's too busy, they just go across the street to another, so people come to a city center. I guess it just sort of depends, right?
Definitely, I would say so. You have it at the same time, it does frustrate some people, though. You may have a nice sushi place in one area, then you're going to have a super mega place opening up that's going to be serving sushi as well, and that affects people. They don't have an exclusivity. The only thing they're going to do is, hey, this is our spot. We're going to lose business. Why are we going to renew with you guys if you have this? And then kind of builds that confrontation between those two stores, but it's, I guess, best way to put it, it's business.
It certainly sounds like it. Wow, that's pretty tough. So I mean, besides the backflows and some of the other day-to-days, I mean, we're talking about just making sure that your staff or your vendors are there to keep the parking lots clean, trash bins done. I guess what power washing storefronts or buildings and things, just to make it seem to be like a more attractive plaza for people to come around in.
Yeah, I have my, monthly porter and sweepers. They come to the property about 4 or 5 days a week, pick up, clean out the trash cans and stuff like that. Sweeping a couple times a week. I got my monthly paint vendors that come around, do my curbs, my pillars, the walls and stuff like that. Because it's amazing how quick those things get dirty, cars driving over them and stuff like that. One thing I've noticed since this job, car stops. People drive over those things, destroy them. Some plazas even have issues with people stealing the rebars, and then you have a car stop that's just standing there, no rebars anywhere to be found, and it's definitely noticed a lot more things. That's the thing, I've been able to work with some companies out there that'll install for about $45. Sometimes I have my maintenance, go to Home Depot, buy a couple of those rebars, put them in and stuff like that, but it's crazy what people take. I recently had around 180 calusas installed behind one of my plazas between a railroad track, just to kind of grow up, kind of mitigate a little bit of the noise from the train. Come back about 3 days later, somebody stole about 95 of the plants, freshly planted ones. Then I basically had a whole area patchy, some areas with a few plants, some areas with none, some areas with a few, then none. And a couple $1,000, around $3,000 lost basically in plants overnight.
Wow. You planted all these fresh plants, 180 of them, and somebody took almost half of them.
All 3-gallon calusa plants. Next day, all gone basically almost. And they destroyed the sprinklers at the same time, ripping them out. So, that's another, I guess, the cost of big business. That's the way to put it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm sure it is, but that's wild. I've never heard of such a thing. And what possesses people to think that there's value? Wow, can't believe.
Yeah, trust me. I thought the same thing. Never thought that could really happen. I was a little shocked for a bit, but it's hard. You can have security on a property and stuff like that, but it can never be watched 24/7. Is the best way to put it. It's difficult, and no matter where you go, when I was doing residential real estate, I would always tell people, they ask me if it's safe. It's no matter where you go, you can't say it's 100% safe or it's going to be 100% secured. It's the best way to put it.
I mean, have you dealt with any other type of theft? I mean, break-ins to any of the units that you guys are managing?
Never any break-ins. Nothing like that, which is nice. Mostly the rebars, like I was saying. You do have, let's say, the few homeless people that come around at night and stuff like that, take water from other clients' meters or backflows, turn those on. But theft-wise, inside stores, no issues with that. No windows being broken into, places being robbed, which is great to say. It's just more of an exterior problem, is the best way to put it.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. I mean, look, it is what it is. Some hard living is what they call it sometimes when you get into a residential house and you have your tenants tear it up. I've had insurance adjusters tell me they put holes in everything, they destroyed stuff, and I'd say, hey, this is vandalism, you guys owe us some money. And then they'd be like, nope, that's hard living. I was like, I don't know how many people are living that hard. But anyway, interesting stuff. So, what else would you like the public to know about your area of expertise, or just what to expect there in that South Florida submarket that you're in for some of the stuff that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
One thing I would say in the field I am in, and of course in South Florida, one thing you want to have is a good roofer. Florida weather is a little wild sometimes. About 5 minutes ago it just rained hard, a power line went out. 2 minutes later, it's sunny and shining. Then you have those days, hurricanes and stuff like that, and you have to definitely be prepared for that stuff. I would say the main problem you have working in South Florida with commercial, with big stores, is it's leaks, roof leaks, and sometimes it can be a big hassle. Things get destroyed. Tenants, want to claim certain things, insurance, and just be prepared. Always have someone that's going to be able to visit your property at a second of a call. Can't have things wait, and just keep everything dry.
Are you guys responsible for the AC units too?
So with commercial real estate, usually when we do rent something out, we have our landlord work. We make sure that the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical is in good working order before they move in. We do a checklist. We have our specialists come out there, write a whole list out. Usually we fill the Freon, replace things that need to be replaced. But after that, once the possession is signed, tenant's responsibility for all air conditioning related issues. Certain times, we will incur the costs. Let's say something we didn't notice, maybe a rusted drip pan that was leaking that we didn't notice, and only came to shine 2-3 months later. Certain things like that will help out because, it was unforeseen and it's not really the tenant's responsibility or their fault that, this thing's happening right now.
Well, I wondered because they're up on the roofs, and then if they have to replace a unit or do some work, they're walking around on the roofs that you guys have to maintain.
Yeah, so the roofs, good thing about that, I have my vendor. We got gutters, roof cleaners every 15 to 30 days. I also have hired a couple roofing companies that we have on a contract right now that'll do a certain amount of work for certain things. But yeah, we make sure if a vendor, one of our clients have to replace their AC and it's their responsibility, we need to know the company that's going out there. We need to know that they got permitting. We need to know they're insured. So, if anything does happen like that, they do slip or fall. Even though you're on Gator's property, we have the correct paperwork, and you told us these things were going to be done like this. So, not trying to take liability for a mistake of someone else.
No, I agree. So what is I've seen those before, the roof leaks. In fact, I was on a roof, I want to say it was near Gainesville, and it was an old TPO or an EPDM. It was a black roof, and the membrane or anything under the membrane, the insulation was getting wet, and the nails were pulling through like they were just going to poke holes in the top surface. So what did you guys have? Did you have just random leaks at seams and stuff, or did a storm cause something to where you had sort of a calamity in somebody's store below?
Luckily, with the roof leaks I've had, nothing's been too damaging. I've heard stories with my company of other properties where it's flooded down into the units and stuff like that. But main issue is small pinpricks under the TPO. But what I've realized lately, a lot of these roof leaks that I'm coming to, having my vendors come out, because we are responsible for all roofing issues with Gator. But what I've noticed, you have some clients that call you for a roof leak. It hasn't rained in 2-3 weeks. And I realize 99% of the time, a lot of these leaks are coming from AC units. People aren't cleaning out the drain lines properly. And basically, things are flooding. And
yeah, they do. They have to clean up this. So do you have any restaurants that leave a lot of trash up on the roof? I walked on a building one time. It was above a all-you-can-eat buffet, and there was it looked like black tar everywhere, and it was just crap that had come out of the fryers. It was I basically had to throw my shoes away.
Yeah, I've had that for one property, but luckily it was just around the exhaust, where it was, like you said, it was tar black. It was all the smoke coming out, all the grease and stuff like that. I would say the biggest problem I have is I got a lot of restaurants that don't clean out their grease traps when they're supposed to. That's supposed to be done pretty often. You walk these properties, it's seeping up from the ground, it's destroying the grass all around that area, and it's a nasty stench. Brings a lot of bugs, roaches, and things like that. And then, it affects other businesses around you. And then I would say that's the main issue. Not much with on the roof, but just on the outside with the grease traps, man. There's a lot of companies out there, they're supposed to do it maybe once every 2 to 3 months, and stuff like that, depending on, their sales, of course. But basically, they just get a big, one of those big trucks right now. They have a suction vacuum. Basically, just suck that all out. Afterwards, if they want to go the extra mile, they pressure wash everything as well. But a lot of these companies will just do the bare minimum and just get it cleaned out. That's good too, but that extra grease on the sides slowly building up, slowly clogging out those pipes if they don't pressure wash everything out. Then, 2-3 years later, that's when the big problems start happening. Things start backing up. Oh, I've cleaned out my grease traps. Have you pressure washed everything nicely? I've cleaned out the lines. And then usually they don't have answers for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to save money, I could see.
Yeah, it's expensive. I'll tell you what, it's a couple. Cleaned out a small tank not too long ago for a restaurant that moved out. Took them about 45 minutes to clean everything out. Got a bill about 2 days later for $845. So I understand now, depending on how the business is doing, there's only so much they can do, depending on what they sell. Let's say they do all that. Next month, hey, I'm a little short on rent right now. I had to clean out my grease trap for $1,200 and pressure wash it.
Yeah, it would be tough. The restaurants is a tough business. That's why I'm just curious about that, kind of like, how are the tenants doing? Are they able to make it through their terms? Are you seeing, can you see enough data to see where so many percentage of them can't even make it through a full lease or something?
Yeah, with the restaurants on all my properties, I'll be honest, every one of them, none of them have problems. We've had one, larger restaurant that recently did close their doors. They were open for 6-7 years, great business, but the issue was they changed management a lot. Their main cooks and chefs like that weren't happy with management changes, so recipes changed. People really didn't enjoy the food. It wasn't the same atmosphere, and that's what made it close. But got a lot of bakeries, got a lot of Caribbean restaurants that are thriving and have been thriving for 5, 10, 15 years now, and have made a name for themselves with great business, no issues with payments. And I've realized it's because management stays the same. They keep everything the same, don't change what's great already.
You got a good product. That's great. That's awesome. Well, Joe, man, this is good. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about the part of the world that you are in. Thanks for being here. Is there something you want to leave our guest with, or a way in which they can contact you in the future if they want to bring Gator Investments on as a part of their community to help service anything?
Yeah, best way to put it is, Gator Investments. We have our website, of course, gatorinvestments.com. You go on there, you get our company number. I'm part of the West Palm Beach district. You'll have my extension on there when you call. Get a hold of me right away. I do have my company phone with me, of course, 24/7 if anything does arise. And I'm always looking for other vendors and people to help out. It's a competitive world out there right now with pricing, with everything right now. I know things have gone up, but if you have a business and you think you can outmatch one of my other vendors currently right now, please reach out to me.
What vendors are you looking for then? Why don't we shout it out?
Painters, concrete workers. Right now I'm looking for asphalt overlay for a huge commercial property. I've been having a trouble finding that. And but yeah, main thing right now, asphalt overlay. If anybody out there is willing to do 196,000 square feet with a 1.5 inch thick asphalt overlay, feel free to reach out to me because I'm taking quotes as of right now.
All right, sounds great. All right, thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate it.